Welcome to Diamond Minds, Performance Under Pressure. I'm Barry Farber, and this show is going to take you through what athletes do, sports legends, entertainers, business leaders, people who are brain surgeons to billionaires, what they do to perform under pressure and go to the edge and break through. What is it? What are the four corners of a diamond? Okay, when you have a diamond, you have mind, body, food, and fitness. Those are all areas we're going to look at to find out how we can perform at our peak. And what is that? Well, every day I'm doing that. Every day you train so that you don't have to think anymore. The word mushin means no mind. No mind because you've trained so much that there's no thinking going on, because when you think, you stink. So what do I do every day? I try to train in martial arts by doing crazy events so that it trains my body and the smallest muscles to perform at its peak. Taking an 8-pound sword, chopping through wood, but that movement I'm doing now, I do 50, 60, 100 times every single day, slow motion with 40-pound rings on my arm, so that once I go there, it's smooth and enjoyable. There's nothing like chopping wood with a sword. The wood-splitting Viking sword, that is. Well, we have a very special guest, Cristina Zenato, who grew up in Africa in the rainforest there, where she spent a lot of time in the environment, in outdoors, and had a passion for that. But what's really interesting is she's been diving 22,000 times with sharks. She specializes in shark diving. But what blew me away, and just I wanted to have her on this program, is she actually removed over 300 hooks from sharks' mouths. I'm talking about putting her hand in underwater and taking a hook out. Okay? How do you deal with that fear? She speaks 5 languages, and I think a 6th one, shark language. Cristina, thanks for coming on the program. Really appreciate it.
Hi, Barry. Thank you for having me.
You are amazing. So, you and I spoke a little bit about fear. I want you to share with the audience that you think about, here you are underwater and a shark is in pain and it has a hook in its mouth, and you go ahead, and I know it didn't happen one day at a time, it happened over time, but how did you deal with the fear of putting your hand in the mouth of a shark and taking a hook out?
Well, fear usually is brought up by the lack of knowledge and understanding. And so in order to remove part of that fear is understanding what you're doing, knowledge on how to do it, which could be tools that I use, like chain suit to protect my hands when I come in close contact with teeth, but also the understanding of sharks. So like you said, it didn't come on day one. It took me several years of diving with these sharks, the same group of animals, for one day to remove the hook. But for me, fear was also removed by something bigger and stronger, which is love. I love sharks, and I want sharks to feel good, and especially these shiver of sharks that I spent so much time with. When I realized the hooks were bothering them, they were trying to have them dislodged. They could not feed properly. Out of love, I decided to remove the hooks so that the sharks could feel better.
And how did that happen? How did the first time you put your hand in and take that hook out? I just would like to understand that experience, because I always believe fear is false evidence appearing real. People in their minds blow it out of proportion, and here you are, you diminish it by the preparation and the life and the love you have for sharks. So I just would like to know that experience, the first time you pulled the hook out, and what transpired there.
Don't remember. Do you remember the first time you remove a thorn out of your dog's paw? I don't remember. I don't remember when it's the first time I did an action to help my pup. And I honestly do not remember thinking, oh, this is so outrageous or this is so incredible. To me, it was like, I can see this, a specific shark not doing well. And I will try to remove the hook. Now I understand how she is and what she does. And I understand my skills and my capabilities. I also understand the risks involved with doing that. And it really has nothing to do with the shark biting. A lot of people think it's the shark biting. Everything else is the hook becoming stuck in your finger, which kind of hurts a lot. Is the hook becoming stuck in your chainmail? Is being the shark trying to free herself because she feels that you're grabbing something, so she might twist and turn and accidentally sprain your wrist. But my thought process didn't go through that. My thought process went, how can I make this shark feel better. The fear was never there. Was the preparation concern? Yes. But I never thought, oh, this might turn so that a shark is going to bite me, because by then I knew them and I felt that that was the right thing to do.
Do you know what's interesting? You're doing something with sharks, and the problem I think with the whole world with Jaws and the interpretation of what sharks are, and they're vulnerable species you talk about. I want to tie something into the listener, to the viewer, that something interesting. I did some reading about acacia trees in Africa that actually release a gas that's ethylene, that when a giraffe is eating their leaves and they're in danger, they shoot these toxins into the roots, to the leaves, that the giraffes don't want to eat it anymore. But that gas that they send goes 100 yards down to other species of acacia trees. And we're learning this now, the tip of the iceberg. I want to know, and I want the audience to listen to what you've learned about sharks that blows people away, because we never realized how unique they are and how they communicate with each other, and to tell other sharks, hey, by the way, there's this lady there, Cristina, you got to go over there. She'll take the hook out of your mouth. I mean, that just blows me away that that's what's happening. Can you expand on that?
Yes, I think the first thing we need to start with is saying sharks is like saying birds. And unfortunately, now our society is saying shark. Everybody hear just the Jaws music, literally, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum.
Right.
But you don't need to be an ornithologist. If I said all birds can fly, you absolutely can look at me and say, absolutely not. That's not true. But with sharks, for whatever reason, we've all lumped them underneath this one species, this one behavior. And I think that is the first thing that people don't realize. The smallest shark in the world is the size of a pen. This is a dwarf lantern shark, adult size. I'm holding it.
Adult,
Okay?
I didn't
The
know
biggest
that.
shark in the world. Yes, the biggest shark in the world is the whale shark, which is also the biggest fish in the world, in the ocean. Not biggest animal in the ocean. Those are sperm whales. But the biggest fish in the ocean is the whale sharks, in between all these. So I think that's the first thing that needs to go into people's minds. There's over 520 different species. But within the species, like with us, there's different individuals, there's different personalities, there's different ways of learning. Some learn really fast, some learn really slow. Some are more approachable, some are not approachable. And I think that is what maybe people need to start looking at sharks as individuals. Living, breathing, thinking, sentient beings. In that, also, then I think the mind-blowing part is sharks have shivers where they stay in groups. The sharks do communicate. Now, sometimes humans compare communication of animals to theirs. Oh, it's like a 3-year-old child. It's like a 6-year-old child. It's like, well, they're not children. They're not humans. They're not mammals. So their communication is a totally different level.
Different level, yep.
They have 7 senses. We have 5. They are created for the underwater world. They've been on this planet for 450 million years. We have 5 senses. We're related to the land. We obviously, it's very hard to understand. But they communicate through hormonal secretions. So there's a lot of that is done at their hormonal level. There's a lot of done at the scent level, which actually as humans is one of the senses we lose underwater. It's very, very hard to smell underwater. We can still hear, but not correctly. We can still see. We need a mask. We can't talk, really. We can grunt and mumble a little bit. But literally, smell is not present unless there's something really, really strong down there, like hydrogen sulfur.
What is the distance that they can smell blood? I mean, I know it's like a mile or more, or like their sense is so heightened there. What's that?
What blood? There is a myth. Which blood?
Oh,
they can
really?
smell. That's another myth, right? It's like, oh, the concept is they can actually smell up to about 1,000 yards away. Right? But what are they smelling is species related, and it's definitely not human blood. That is not the truth. There's also the people that say, well, they can smell a drop of blood and 1,000,000 particles of water. It's like, good, that is a drop of blood in a spoon, a kitchen spoon of water. But the concept of smelling it has been exaggerated. They have an extreme, excellent sense of smell, right? But it's obviously all related to what they're doing, where they are, or anything like that. But in case of the hook removal, I do believe that there is a body movement that sends out certain kind of waves. There are some hormonal secretions from first maybe the pain and then the relief and then maybe a little bit of commotion of the hook removal. Because when I remove hooks from sharks that I know, sharks that I don't know, because I recognize each and every one of them, the sharks that I don't know show up on the dive with hooks in their mouth and start circling around me and coming closer and closer and closer.
How do they know? How do they communicate that? I would. Is there anything that we know about that, of the communication level of how they talk to each other? I know on your 25 million views on YouTube, there's people commenting like, "Hey Joe, to his shark friend, you got to go see Christina. She's going to take your hook out." So how does that work? What do we know?
We don't. That's the problem with sharks. We really don't know to the full extent. But they have the ampullae of Lorenzini, their electromagnetic field sensors that can detect brain waves and heartbeats and metal movement. We have a lateral line that detects wave of movement, basically gives them like a figure of what is moving around them. They have hormonal levels that they can actually they use that, especially during the mating season or during other excitement levels, so they can smell hormones. Imagine the scent that we naturally have. I do believe sharks can actually smell the natural scent that each and every one of us has, and the sharks do recognize me from the other people that I take down.
Really,
And I
they
think that
know
is,
you.
yeah, yes, they do. And
I'm going to ask you.
I'm not saying this. I have people telling me it's like they behave differently with you than with me. We're standing shoulder to shoulder, but the sharks behave differently.
So body language and things you do. I just want to ask you something, because the show is about, when you say diamond mines, I want to have people who have, they found internally what makes them tick and love and a passion for their profession. And your mind is so unique with this, what you've done. I would like you to share with the viewers of what have you learned about pushing yourself to the edge and breaking through with a new way to alleviate pain from these amazing animals that we so uh, overlook their benefits. When I see people cutting fins off sharks and thinking that's going to cure cancer, it just kills me inside. But I want to know what lessons can you share about performance in any profession, where when you want to do something great, you have to tolerate X. Is there anything you could share with the viewers on that?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is repetition, it's dive site fidelity. If I want to put it towards what I've been doing with the sharks, is being present, day in, day out, repeating, observe. So it's time, it's dedication, it's patience, it's in a certain way what I've learned by pushing myself to that limit. It's actually that the known that we've been given, it's incorrect. And I've been able to actually make my own known. So I would say that one of the biggest things we can learn is question the known that you've been given. But don't
Yep.
just question it. What I would say, keyboard warriors. Oh, I question this. I don't agree. It's like
Right.
question it, being out there, be
Hmm.
yourself in the first line. And I think that is what brings out the knowledge and understanding. Is, well, this is the known. It's like, well, when I am submerged with these animals, are like, anything I observe does not match the list of the known that you gave. And that's what I start
Really?
questioning. Yes. And I think that is what we need to do when we push ourselves, when those people push themselves to the limit. And when they fail, the problem is a lot of people also, uh, they kind of like sit back and go, oh, well, I told you so. Yeah, that was really dangerous. Ah, that was really
Right.
stupid. And
They
it's just like,
seldom.
you know what?
Yeah.
Imagine if every time we fail, we actually stop trying to learn, try to understand. Where would we be? Would we still squatting by the fire? Or would we even have a fire?
I love it. Do you know what's interesting? There was a quote by Mark Twain. He said, "Ignorance and confidence, and then success is sure." And I love that quote, because many times I'll go into projects, whether it's representing athletes, entertainers, or doing martial arts, or doing something crazy with an 8-pound sword every day over and over again, and realize that the ignorance is bliss because you start learning things that nobody else has learned, and you're so unique. It's another way to figure out a new way to do something and break through. So I love what you just said about that. I want to ask, what's your definition of success today? A lot of people will put it with money or achievements or fame or family, whatever. But you've been doing this for a long time and you are an expert. I wouldn't talk to anybody else on the planet that knows sharks better than you. What would you say is your definition of success today?
My definition of success on a personal level is, I think that thanks to what I'm doing and the sharks a lot, I very much learn to live in the now. I very much have this now is what I need to focus on. Not what has happened, not what will happen, but that. And that makes every day special and every day precious. And that is a success because it eliminates a lot of the battles that I actually had to fight as a teenager, as a growing woman. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think that is success, is being able to really enjoy what is happening.
Living in the present. You know, in martial arts, there's a word called mushin, and we spoke about this briefly, which means no mind and no thinking. And you've done something so many times that you're actually a natural, relaxed state that your best performance comes through. And I find that that's why you don't have fear. You know, we talked about everybody has fear. Fear is a motivator too. It helps you push you forward. But the way to diminish it is the amount of time and focus and research and surrounding yourself with people that are in your world that are positive like that. And then all of a sudden, your actions become natural. And I love that about you. And I wanted to say anything about, you're with these sharks. Anything happened that you'd like to share that was really scary or that was out of, that really shocked you, or any story? Because how many, 22,000 dives is a lot of time underwater.
Yeah, not with all sharks. I mean, I do cave diving as well, but
Right.
you see, that's the thing. Again, what happens with sharks is never scary. I think the scariest thing that happens on the water is when I take other people and what they let their mind create, and then the consequences of their actions that sometimes I have to fix. That is the scariest part, is when I'm with other people and I have to almost read them and anticipate what they're going to do that might become dangerous to themselves or to me. Honestly, not with sharks. The ones that I really hated the most with sharks were sometimes there's the sharks that carry these hooks that have double ends, and what happens is I was about to remove the hook out of one shark, and this other shark came in and bit the shiny dangling part, and the two of them became stuck together.
Oh
And
boy.
and that to me is when my heart jolts, and I'm kind of like, my goodness, now what I'm going to have to do, because I care so much about it.
What did you do? What happened?
So they end up actually exchanging the hook, and so I actually focus on the outer shark, and I end up removing the hook in the end. But there's a couple of moments where they actually exchange the hook. Into
That's crazy.
brackets, I'll send you a video of that.
That's crazy. Do you know why people are afraid to try something new, go out of their comfort zone? I mean, here you are, you do this, you grew up in a whole environment that fostered that love for nature and the wilderness, but the time you've spent underwater, is there anything you think about that? Why are people so afraid of failure or setbacks, or looking foolish in front of their peers? What is that? Why is it with so many people that blocks our success?
I think it's because in a certain way we have portrayed failure as the end of, rather than a learning moment. You fail, you learn, you continue, you start again. You fail, you go back, you review. Instead, we have to start saying, well, failure is embarrassing. And so that's the end of it. I see that a lot. I see even that with my students when they come and say, well, I didn't do that good. I'm kind of like, oh, that's the reason you're here to learn.
Right.
So I think people are afraid of that because of the stigma that has been given to failure as a
Yep.
negative thing
Hmm.
rather than a positive. But failure to me, missing a step, making a mistake, actually gives us a chance to go back and go, okay, well, I missed that. how did I miss it? Why did I miss it? What was my thought process that made me miss it? And then review it. And it can come
That
in many ways. Like when I do cave exploration, I know we didn't really discuss, but cave exploration, I always carry a cam on my helmet. And then at home, I review my entire thing, and I'm like, how did I miss that time? And I watched what I was looking at in the helmet to understand
mhm.
what did I miss? What was the
Like a
mistake?
football team looks at a plays to just over and over in their head to ingrain that what's going on that they don't see. I love
Yeah,
that.
instead of being blamed is a learning lesson. I think maybe our society has become like this blaming concept. We see that a lot. We talked about a lot in the diving industry. If somebody does something, everybody's like, "Oh, I would never do that." And it's kind of like, "Yes, you would. You're human. There's a human factor in everything we
Mhm.
do that needs to be taken into account in order for us to understand all the thought process, not just the last action that brought to that action, and accept that and say, oh, I see what the pattern is. To, I don't know,
I love that.
maybe
I love
I
Chris.
I failed. I failed many, many times. I made a lot of mistakes. I also been, maybe pointed fingers and made fun of, but I followed something that was beyond the fear of failure, which is passion and love for what I was doing. And I would continue to practice until, like you said, it became mine. For me, and the water is like sitting on a couch.
What you just first of all, you should have a book about this. We'll talk about that, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, it's explained so perfectly what you just said. Because falling isn't failing as long as you don't fail to get back up and learn how to take more intelligent action the next time you go back. When somebody asked me, actually recently, what successes have you? Let me tell you about my failures. Let me tell you about my setbacks, rejections, ridicule, people telling me you're crazy. It'll never work. What do you look what happened? See what happened? But that's the material that makes you motivated. You have to take that inside and say, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to figure out a way to make it work and then go back to it and come back with an intelligent action to move forward and find out that that's where you go to the next level. There's no way. See, I see people who have success and not experience failure, and they are condemned to a torturous life because they don't know how to come back. The one-hit wonder who has that one song and thinks they're going to make it forever, then has a setback and says, "Oh my God, I can't sing anymore. I can't do this," and they're paralyzed. I love what you just said, and that was so perfectly said. Christine, anything else you'd like to share about your experiences in the ocean, that even beyond the sharks, of what you've seen and observed that can really ignite people's passion for this underworld mystery that we need to save?
Well, the biggest thing is we are made of water, and we are here because of the ocean. Without the ocean and the perfection by which this planet floats so this perfect distance from the sun and has a perfect thermal regulations and the evaporation in the ocean. But I think people need to realize we are made of water and we belong to the water. Look where we are born, where we stay for 9 months before we are
Hmm.
born. Like we're first
Yeah.
underwater creatures before we come out, and it hurts when we're born. So I think for people maybe is to try to reconnect a little and see a little details of what is their water. And it doesn't matter where you are. Water comes in all sorts of forms, even parts of snow. Eventually, it is water. So where
Like,
does it go? What is the journey? Reconnect with it because that is what inside us. That's what moves us.
mhm.
There's
Like Bruce
I
Lee says,
think
be
that will
like
be the thing
water.
that I want people to be water. And be water.
Hmm.
Bruce Lee said be water, right? Um,
Hmm.
but I watch water carve tunnels. One little grain of dust at a time and carve humongous tunnels. I watch water through, I've been through hurricanes here, force 5 plus. I watch water taking down any barrier that humans think that they can build, and they just building something else. They're like, oh, this time we're gonna make the wall 12 feet high. And I just sit there going, dude. Uh, I so maybe embrace water. Learn about water, learn the journey of the water, and then in the process, learn what you as an individual can do
There is
to
nothing more refreshing than going in
reconnect.
the ocean. Yeah, yeah, and just
A
feeling.
river.
I know there's some kind of, just swimming in the ocean water. There's some kind of medical, benefits from that that people don't realize. I'm sure you could share. You talked about something in the beginning about the love you have diminishes the fear, and the fear's enemy, I mean, is love. Love, those two actually talked to a neurosurgeon who talked about that exactly, about what the difference is between fear and love, and why you can, how you have to deal with fear. Otherwise, it's going to diminish your performance under pressure. And I think about a diamond, obviously millions of years before that coal becomes a diamond, and what it goes through is like the human, is that if we put ourselves under pressure, if we push ourselves, there is something inside us that comes out that we just see as a glowing example of, wait a second, I just learned something amazing here. So that's why I want people to embrace what you just said about looking at failure as a positive, because it's how you take action after. I really love that.
And it sounds cliche, and I keep telling people, follow your heart. Wake up in the morning looking forward to what you're about to do. Because when you do that, that passion that is there, even the moment you fail, even the moment that somebody says no, I don't know how many doors have been shut in my face before, how many times I've not been selected for something, how many times I've been refused something. But that passion that stays behind is the fuel. And I think once you follow that, then the fear of failure, I think, goes away. The failure doesn't go away. But what it becomes a companion by which you say, okay, this time didn't go this way. Next.
Mm-hmm.
Till then it becomes successful.
And maintain that enthusiasm all the time. It's tough when somebody gives you ridicule or sets you back or you fail. That enthusiasm is diminished. Now, what's funny? I remember enthusiasm. I found out what the word meant. It's actually a Greek word which stands for entheos. And entheos means the God within. And enthusiasm has powered me so many times when I got rejected in different scenarios, whether it's business, whether it's a folding pen, whether it's martial arts. When you have that enthusiasm and you continue to use it through the failure, that's the key, because people pick up on that. Once they see that you think you failed, they're walking away. But that enthusiasm, how do you keep that? You're constantly reading, surround yourself with positive role models. You get me excited just listening to what you just said about failure. That in itself is a book on its own, because of the message you just gave. I love that, Cristina. Cristina, I love having you. I could talk to you for another 4 hours, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on Diamond Minds. You are a diamond mind. You are not a diamond in the rough.
Thank you, Barry.
And it was a real pleasure. And anybody, just take a look at her online. Take a look at the stories about Cristina. She's amazing. And I really appreciate you coming on the show, Cristina. Special. Thank you.
Thank you.
What are the takeaways? What are the gems from Cristina? Okay, let's look at fear and love, what she talked about. When you're passionate about what you're doing, it diminishes the fear. When you dive in and research and surround yourself with people that are really knowledgeable and are motivating and inspiring, it takes away the fear, because they embrace what you're doing. And your love for and passion for it diminishes the fear. And the second part is the failure part, is to embrace failure, is to look at failure as a piece of information that can teach you things that success can never do. Failure is the ability to move forward and use that intelligent information to succeed and break through on a whole different level. And perception, what's perception? Perception is reality. What are your perceptions in your mind about how things are going? You need to understand that you cannot take everybody's word who says, oh, you'll never make it in this industry. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that's never been done before. Well, what is the perception of that? Explore it and realize that actions and research together, when we act from our learning and we learn from our actions, both together provide that clarity that make perception disappear and show reality of what you make it. Thanks for joining us. This has been Diamond Minds, performance under pressure. And I hope you have a future as bright as a diamond.